This episode is for the furries as Cinderace and Lucario go on their own solo adventure, kind of. Hey, this is GatorEX, let's discuss episode, what are we on, 48 now, of Pokemon Journeys. This one, of course, a little more chill. Overall, it was a fine one, again, following last episode, kind of in the same vein, and which, funny enough, the plot picks up, in a way. I say plot, and I say picks up, but really, Ash and Go are enjoying their reward from the eating contest last episode, and so they're all just chilling out. And one interesting thing is, they let Lucario and Cinderace out of their Pokeballs to just hang out with them, and I guess it makes sense, But it's kind of funny though with these Pokemon now being basically as tall as them and just hanging out with them. But it's just kind of neat to see. But at the same time, Rocket has a plan, of course, to capture Pikachu. I mean, when don't they? They're running the ice cream truck where they're going to be eating, and the funny thing is they've got a little Pikachu replica, and Meowth says that it's a mech, or it's like a little robot, but it's basically Pikachu, or pretty much Pikachu. The only difference is that it says Hikachu instead of Pikachu. It's a pretty funny thing overall for comedy. So of course that's their plan. Oh yeah, let's switch out Pikachu for this one, and he'll never know when we get away, except for the fact that this thing says Hikachu. What's interesting though is that it like moves once they activate it. It moves and acts like an actual Pikachu. So like, really, what's the difference? If you can make this, and the only, I mean, who knows if it's as, or how strong it is, or if it can attack. But if you can basically just make this little replica, this mech Pikachu, that's for all intents and purposes might as well just be a real Pikachu, except that it says Hikachu instead, which I couldn't tell much of the difference. then why take it? But I guess that's part of the funnies. So of course Ash and Go catch up, and as they're getting their ice cream, of course Ash gets like a really big one. Everything's piled on, and they're all just enjoying it. Cinderace and Lucario though, they get into a quabble. With Cinderace trying to offer Lucario some ice cream, spilling it on his, or messing up his face by getting some there, and then of course they kind of get into it, and like I said, throughout the rest of the episode, it's mostly them together, and it's something that I liked. We really haven't seen much of these Pokemon since they've evolved again with into Lucario and Cinderace. I mean, yeah, we got to see them battle, right? Say in the Darkest Day arc, in the battle against Mewtwo, and that was pretty cool. But now we get to see more of their personalities, I guess. Lucario is still kind of the edgy boy, I guess, I'd say. After being a Riolu was always just kind of not necessarily standoffish, but it's kind of carried over into Lucario, where he's just leaning against poles, not eating ice cream, just hanging out. And then Cinderace is still kind of, I guess, more happy, kind of back to how it was as a kind of a score bunny, more I guess peppy, happy. But even then Raboot was like that later on, after it kind of reconciled with Go. But it is interesting to see both these Pokemon, these furry Pokemon, just interacting with each other. Meanwhile, Ash leaves, right, because he gets ice cream all over his hands, and this is the point where Rocket's going to switch the Pikachu for the Hikachu. Again, it's called the pretty much Pikachu, but I like calling it Hikachu because it's shorter, it's funnier. But the funny thing is, of course, they get them mixed up, and what's interesting is, the Hikachu even like gets up and runs around and plays with Pikachu, like I said, to the point where it's practically just a Pikachu, and so they get them mixed up and they steal one, and it's pretty obvious though that they end up stealing Hikachu instead, although they use this goop to catch it, and it's covered its mouth, so they have no way of telling that it's actually Hikachu and not Pikachu. So then Pikachu's just like, well, that was weird, and he heads back off. Cinderace catches Rocket running off with the Hikachu, of course thinking it's Pikachu, and then this is where the big shenanigans begin. Cinderace runs off and gets Lucario to, is like, hey, they took Pikachu. So now Lucario and Cinderace are chasing after Rocket, trying to rescue Pikachu. Unbeknownst to them, Pikachu is totally fine. So I think it's kind of an interesting premise. It's pretty funny as well, and the rest of the episode is basically that. Even to the point where like Team Rocket used that goo again, and both Cinderace and Lucario get stuck together. So relatively formulaic, where these two characters, they're established as like kind of being in a little disagreement, maybe not working the best together or interacting together, but now that they're stuck together and they got to accomplish something, they got to solve it. So a lot of shenanigans going on with them chasing Team Rocket, being stuck together. Pretty funny. This whole episode is not the best animated episode, so that kind of holds it back, I guess, but it's overall fine. Regardless, they're they're chasing T-Rocket is funny. Meanwhile, though, of course, Ash, Go, Pikachu are still just hanging out, just eating all this great, delicious sweets, all these food, a bunch of stuff that I really wish was real and that I really just want to try. The Crustle thing that they were eating just looks so good, and it really makes me wish that they had it at the Pokemon Cafe and that I could visit a Pokemon Cafe, or that somehow I could get it here in the US. As it just looks so good. But regardless, it comes to the point where Cinderace and Lucario have the Hikachu, again thinking it's Pikachu, and they got a battle against Team Rocket, who through their Gotcha machine get a Sock and a Throw, and you know, they battle. Sock and Throw, of course, are just beating them up because they're stuck together, they can't function, and then finally they have the moment where like, okay, cool, we gotta work together. And they use, of course, their sticky goo, the stickiness that stuck them together, to increase each other's momentum, and I think, you know, it's pretty good. Again, relatively formulaic in terms of like just storytelling for like how shows have been basically forever, but I think it was nice. And like I said, I think an episode like this was important for Cinderace and Lucario, again because now with them being how they are, again being a Cinderace and Lucario rather than Raboot and Riolu as we knew them before. And again, you know, it's kind of funny. I had said like before, you know, when the three of them would hang out, when they would hang out with Pikachu, they're all about the same size, but now we got these two big furry Pokemon together. So of course, you know, they defeat Team Rocket, they blast off. They're saying, you know, they think they saved the day, and of course, though, Wobbuffet is able to grab the Pikachu. Now the goo comes off. They think they've won, except it says Hikachu, and you know. It's a funny thing. It's like that was a pretty much Pikachu the whole time. Funny thing is though, when they established that it was like a mech, or that was like, you know, a little robot thing, I expected it to like break or blow up by the end of the episode. Funny enough, it didn't. It was perfectly intact, and I think again the fact that it's basically a Pikachu. It might as well be. It's pretty much a Pikachu. I think that'd be a little too cruel if it like blew up or broke or anything. It'd be so hilarious if this shows up in a later episode. Of course, you know, I totally expect them to just like sweep it under the rug. It's like, oh yeah, it's not present in the next episode, or maybe a throwaway line in a later episode. It's like, oh yeah, we got rid of it or deactivate it, whatever. But I would so love if this thing could stick around. You know, maybe if it could get some visual difference, some kind of mark on it or something to visually differentiate it from Pikachu. I would just love if this thing hangs out with them, and because I get it's pretty much a Pikachu. Again, funny. But, you know, the episode ends with Cinderace and Lucario coming back, discovering that actual Pikachu was not at all in danger. And they just enjoy some sweets together. And, of course, you know, we get kind of a not recycle joke, but just it comes back again, where Cinderace gets something on Lucario's face, gets some food on Lucario. And, you know, the episode ends, but it's a good one. It's a nice one. It's a little more enjoyable. Like I said, you know, with last episode being, I feel like it was too harsh on last episode. It was all fine. It's all fine. But this one, I enjoyed this one a little more. I actually kind of enjoyed this quite a bit. But it was definitely a good, funny one. Like I said, my main takeaway is I really like the Hikachu, the pretty much Pikachu. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. Did you enjoy this episode? What would you like to see going forward? I guess discussion points again. What do you think is going to happen with Hikachu, or the pretty much Pikachu, and Cinderace and Lucario going forward? I think again, you know, they've got some interesting dynamics with each other. In terms of, you know, their differing personalities. I think, again, you know, maybe not necessarily going to be played for comedy as much later in episodes, but I think, you know, they'll be able to come together and work together in other things. But I just like seeing them both together. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to show your support. You can enable notifications, click that bell icon, make you a member of the Chingling Squad, that kind of stuff. But anyway, this has been GatorEX. Have a nice day.